Can you say I love you and mean it without expecting a response? Hey guys, it's John sitting here in my studio having a fabulous mug of coffee as usual. Does love have conditions? Neil Donald Walsh and I had a great conversation. We were talking about the concept of unconditional love. Well, the fact that you even mentioned unconditional means there's a condition. I love Neil's interpretation where he says pure love. God is pure love. In the modern society, love often has strings, and what's so interesting is that people will say I love you, with expectation of the validation of that love. And that's a condition. You need the validation, so that is the fear of not getting that love, so that's a condition. Can you love unconditionally? I have a member of my family who doesn't speak to me because of my spiritual beliefs. I have another member of my family who doesn't speak to me because of my political beliefs. I'm not responsible for their love, and that's their condition. If any one of them called me and said, I need you, or I need some help, I would hop in my truck and I would drive there. Without a question. Without a question. Because I'm only responsible for my love being pure. I'm only responsible for my love being without a condition. And that is the infinite power. That expectation of wanting something in return is the fear of not having that love from them. But the true nature of love isn't earned. It's expressed. It's coming from you rather than coming to you. It comes to you when you truly love, when you truly are unconditional, when you truly are pure in that love. Jeshua gave love that was completely pure. You could feel it before you even walked up to him. If you listen to my regression or the video on my channel that says 2 moments from my regression, you hear me literally say, oh, you can feel him. You could feel the purity of that love because there were no inclusions. When you buy a diamond, there's inclusions in diamonds, and there's always numbers that mean there's how many inclusions in the diamond. But when you look at that number, you realize that inclusion is a condition. Jeshua was a pure diamond. There were no inclusions. There was nothing in there that was antithetical to the purity of that diamond, to the purity of that love. And Jeshua gave that love unconditionally because that's what the purity of love does. To not give it freely would be hoarding it out of fear. Even to those who betrayed him, forgive them, they know not what they do. They know not what they do. He didn't judge them or hate them or hurt them or harm them. He literally said, forgive them. And what does forgive mean? I like to think it means FORE-give, give love first. True love, pure love, frees both the giver and the receiver. When you are delivering pure love, those people on the other side feel it. And, they're still going to make their own choices because we're each on our own spiritual journey. Each one of them can choose to hate because of what something believes, or they can just simply choose to love and not be subject to their own fears and anxieties. Saying I love you with no expectation unlocks the heart. My mother, I talk about my mom a lot in videos. In our family, we never said I love you. It was not something we said. And I remember when I was in my 40s, and it was the first time I remember telling my mom I loved her. And my mom stuttered. I love you too. It was shocking to her for her to hear it. But what it did do for me and my mom is by saying that to her, we began to have a conversation that was more free. We weren't judging each other. I could talk to her about all of my spiritual ideas, even though she had her master's degree in liturgy in the Catholic Church. She accepted me. She actually had people come to me and work with me. Love does not have to be transactional. There are people here in Akron who I call transactional relationships. They call me up. They say, John, I've missed you. I love you so much. I wish we should get together and have dinner. Can you do this for me? I never hear from them any other moment. It's only when I can do something for them. Now, people will say, well, John, the phones work in both directions. The thing is, I was the one calling them and hey, how are you today? What's going on with you? Everything good? Can I help you with something? I was doing that, and I just realized one day they weren't doing it in return. And I was like, okay, on their side, this is a transactional relationship. They'll be my friend when they can get something from it. I don't need to get something in return. I I also realized that calling them was not actually helping the situation. So instead, I just stopped calling. And then I began to realize that, well, they're still calling every so often saying, "Oh, I love you. I love you. Do this for me." And then I said, "Well, let's find out what if it's the transaction of the love." And so the next time they called, I told them I no longer did the thing they wanted me to do. I haven't heard from them since. So their love was conditional. My love is unconditional. If they contact me and they say, "John, I'm sorry I haven't talked to you in a while. I have this project that you might be able to help me with. Then we have an honest relationship, an honest but the concept of saying, "I miss you, I love you," they didn't think about me, right? And that's a transactional relationship. I can love them no matter what. It doesn't mean I have to be at their whim. No can be a complete sentence. And by saying I don't do that anymore, haven't heard from them since. That's okay. Because love has to go in all directions. The purity of love can be delivered to someone else or to yourself. And in that situation, I delivered it to myself. I didn't want to do the things that they were asking me to do anyway. And they didn't in any way, shape, or form carry that love forward that I was delivering because they were so invested in the transaction. So it's the same thing when in the Bible when Jeshua tells Lazarus he has to sell everything to follow him. That's what he's talking about. When you're so invested in the material world and that you're using others just to propel your material world forward, you're not living love. You're not living a divine reflection of love. You know, and you know the thing is, you know, uh, love doesn't need a transaction. And so I took the transaction off the table. And if they call and want to talk to me without a transaction, I am there. I am there for them. I am there for that unlimited, unattached love.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com.
But can you be the person who says it to the person who needs to hear it today? Can you say it aloud to someone who needs it, someone who feels unloved, who feels unsafe in the world? Can you say it in your thoughts, words, your deeds, your actions, your words, right? Your words. Can you also say it to yourself? Most empathic people have a hard time loving themselves. They are so focused on the service to others that they forget to love themselves. But ask yourself, if you're part of God, what part of God is not worthy of love? You are the first place where divine love begins. Your inner core, your inner peace, your inner love is what is delivered outwardly. Loving without needing creates freedom. And that's divine. That's your divinity being shown in the world. We are an expression of love because we're part of God and God is love. And we can be here loving freely now in this present moment and always. But it's a matter of the more we align ourselves with that love and deliver that love into the world without a condition, without an expectation of someone saying us and giving us the validation of that love, the more we love freely, the more love freely comes to us. Because we're not, for me in that situation with the people here in Akron, they contacted me because they wanted something from me. To give them that, even though I didn't want to do it, would not be loving myself equally. And so come back to that space of realizing you can deliver that love. You can be in that space of that purity of love. You can say, I love you without expectation of anything coming back at you. Because that disconnection, and I say disconnection from the need of validation, right? When you disconnect from that need and simply say, I love you and mean it without needing it back, you change the world because that person in front of you knows it. My best friend, Tim, one time he said many years ago, he said to me, I had come down to Rehoboth and we couldn't get together. It just never worked out. And he said, John, I'm sorry. I said, Tim, you know, you never need to tell me you're sorry. I just love you. I don't expect anything that you do to me to be malicious because I know you love me back. And that's why Tim and I have a great relationship. Tim and I have never had an argument in all of the 50 some odd years that we've known each other. We've never had a fight because we don't take the actions of the other person as an offense. We understand that that person's going through something, and that's why that action was taken, but it wasn't done maliciously or intent to harm. So I don't. I tell him I love him all the time. You know, he's my best friend. But when I look at him from the perspective of I just love you, I just love you too. In Greek, they would say sagapo. And so every so often, I'll be typing something and I'll be really enjoying our conversation, and I'll end my text message with SGP, Sagapo. And he Sagapo. It's not a romantic thing because we're both heterosexuals, but it's just an expression of love for someone who I love. I love the man, truly love the man, and so being able to say you don't ever need to say you're sorry to me is letting them know that they're safe and that no matter what they do. Now, what did it do for Tim and I? When I said that to him, that was a moment of change because he understood this was a pure love without any judgment of anything that the other person did. I didn't care. I didn't care. Even if Tim lied to me about something, I wouldn't care. I'd know that the reason that would have happened is because Tim was feeling bad, or Tim was feeling guilty, or Tim was in a bad place, and I would rather care for the doubt and the self-worth of the issue. I would rather love him no matter what than get mad and ruin my day, or in becoming mad, not loving myself by allowing myself to be mad. Negative emotions are just fear run amok. And when you let go of those fears and you let someone else let go of those fears without need for validation, you change their life and your own. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.